Welcome to the Vault XL. I see you guys chatting down there. Yes, she is okay. Sitting here looking at you all talking down there in that chat. Hello, everybody. Let's chop this up. First time ever discussing Bethany. What did Bethany hear or see on the morning of November 13th, 2022? And did she and DM, either one, call their friends over to the home before dialing 911? Thank you all so much for joining me. All super chat stickers are welcome during the live stream. Good evening, everybody. Hello, Gemini Moon, Libby, Skyla, Trio, Tootsies. Thank you all for joining me. That's the said commentary for this live stream. Please check out my content from earlier pertaining to Xana's mom, Kara. I meant to go in and change that title because I spelled her name wrong. But anyway, a lot of juicy information coming out. Brian Koiberger is no longer represented by Miss Taylor. Please spread that around. Please listen to the video carefully because I was very informative in my information, detailed. A Mr. Schwartz is now representing Brian C. Koiberger, suspect in the Idaho 4 slayings. Ms. Taylor has recused herself as representation for Koiberger. A Mr. Schwartz is now taking her place. As I told you before in that live earlier, 29 people on the roster as public defenders in the state of Idaho, 14 qualified to handle death penalty cases, but she was the only one in that jurisdiction. But now we know that can't be true because now there's a Mr. Schwartz. So now we have to ask the ultimate question. Which jurisdiction is Mr. Schwartz coming from? Thank you so much. Hello, Virginia. Hello, Pen 10. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me your opinion about all this information coming out about Xana's mom, Miss Taylor being her alleged power of attorney. She was wanting to go into rehab. She said she signed some document. Please refer to News Nation for the said information. She's trying to grieve naturally. She has not talked to any of the surviving roommates nor the other family members of the victims. And I've asked in that live stream, why not? Why is no one talking to this lady? She needs help. She needs help, obviously. And she's probably in a very alone place. And she says she's dealing with friends that's trying to help her, support her. But what she needs are friends in the circle of these children, which are their family members. That seems common sense. They have a bond, whether they want to or not. Their children were murdered in the same house. How could you not want to bond with the kids' parents if you can? You don't have to be best friends, but call them every now and again to check on them. Call to say hello. Hi, just calling to see how you're doing. You okay? You need anything? This mother obviously needs help. As I said in the last live, I do not know the relationship between Kara and Xana. I don't think it was the best relationship just because of the things she said to Banfield months ago. She didn't seem to know much about Xana, which was strange to me. But it's sad. It's all sad to me. Very, very sad. One moment, please. Okay, everybody. Well, it doesn't matter who she grew up with. You can still have a relationship with your parent. It doesn't matter who raised you, who house you stayed. You still can have a relationship with your mother, your father. grandparents, or whomever. It's just something off. And possibly there wasn't a relationship. I don't know. Just things that were said during the interview months ago just didn't sound good. You're all right. But I don't want to put out anything that I don't know for sure. I'm just going by what she said to Banfield. And it didn't seem that she knew much about her daughter because of the questions that Banfield was asking her. So I didn't get the feeling that she talked to her daughter a lot. And now Banfield's asking her more questions, and it's just like the past interviews. She's not talking to anybody, and I just find it strange to me. Months later, I mean, it's not a good look to have a dead child brutally murdered and you're not talking to anybody. It's just strange to me. I think most people would agree. You need to be talking to these people. There's no way I'd go this many months and not have talked to the girls at the house, talked to the other parents, talked to the chief of police, talked to the detective on the case, call to ask, updates. I wouldn't just sit and wait for somebody to call me. I'm going to call you myself. That's what a caring parent does, whether they raise their child or not. You show that you care after the fact. And I'm not saying she doesn't care, but perhaps she doesn't have the gumption to, press forward to be in tune. And that will look bad to some people. Because, a lot of people have been very judgmental with this case. Certain people that they wanted to bring into the case that in the end didn't have anything to do with the crime. So people are watching every little thing that you do and you say. If you're in the chat at this current moment, the link has been dropped. Feel free to join the panel to give your opinion. If you are in the chat chatting, feel free to give your opinion pertaining to Bethany. I did not want to mention her name, but I won't have to mention the whole name. But what did she see or hear on the morning of November 13th? A lot of conversation has been about DM. But what about BF? What did she see? What did she hear? Did she get up hearing a thump? Because if the outside audio of the house next door heard a thump, crying, dog barking, then possibly this girl on the bottom, do not know which window she was in. Did she hear anything? Which room was she in on the bottom? Did she hear an altercation on the top floor above her, which would have been Xana's room or one of the rooms on the bottom? See, I don't even know which room she was on the bottom. This is very strange information. Well, that's the whole point. Is if you don't have a relationship with your children, then you're not going to know anything about them. You're not going to know basic things. What they like to do, who they talk to, what upsets them, what makes them happy. So if you are talking to them, you're not interacting with them, you don't go places with them, you don't do anything together, how would you know your children? That's anybody. You have to know, you have to spend time with people to get to know them. And, whether you're the mother, father, or not. So this case to me is, Lord, I want to be very choosy the words I use pertaining to all this new information. It's not good. It's not good at all. A lot of people are being negative after Kohberger has been arrested the past couple of weeks of knowing he's been arrested. He's been arrested almost a month now. Monday will make a month. And things started coming out about him, his disposition. People started talking about him. But the point is, it's one thing to have all the wild theories and make up stuff and past lies, something I'm not going to ever do. It's this right here, this extra shit with this Miss Taylor. All of this is bad. And then wondering if these girls knew something, had any involvement, turned a blind eye that morning. Many people would say, well, why would they do that? They were friends. Well, everybody's not your friend. And I think we've learned this from dealing with people in life. And due to the fact that I watch true crime just about every day. I watch Forensic Files. I watch a lot of documentaries. I watch a lot of documentaries on YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, all different venues. And the one thing I found that was a common denominator with true crime: people lie, people covet, people coddle, people enable others. For instance, prime example, a man has been running around Florida raping women, murdering women. And just out of the blue, the police get the phone call from a man saying, hey, I got a tip on who's killing these ladies, blah, blah, blah. So they take the tip down, follow the guy. Lo and behold, he's their guy. Same DNA, blood make of semen left behind one of the victims. Tire tracks match his car, blah, blah, blah. Fibers from inside of his car, one of the victims he decided to leave alive. But the point of the story is the guy got the information from his new wife. Please listen to me carefully now. The guy got the tip from the new wife. The wife used to be married to the rapist, murderer. So when she left her husband, divorced, whatever, got with this new guy, she must have had pillow talk with him and told him that, oh, by the way, my first husband told me that he killed some women. Are you all listening to what I'm saying? So now you got to count how long went by that the killer told her this information, how long she stayed in the relationship, when she got with this second husband, what point did she tell him of what her first husband told her versus when he decided to call the police. Well, Tracy, everybody's relationships are different. A lot of people didn't have good parents. A lot of parents, it just depends. Everybody's circumstances are different. Why they don't talk to their kids or their children. Hello, Teresa. Where are you calling from? Turn your mic. You're gonna need to turn your mic on, dear.
Oh, hi. I wanted to come up and tell you I had no way to contact you, but I've been blocked in your chat forever, and I don't
I
know
don't
why.
know. I don't know anything about that, sweetheart. Where are you calling from?
Wisconsin.
Okay. How do you
So
feel
I just
about
wondered if you had a way I can send you my YouTube thing and you could unblock me.
your what?
To send you, is there a way to send you my YouTube name and stuff to unblock me?
Well, I don't know. People change their names and a lot in the
Well, I've had the same
in the
account for a
see
long
but you got
time.
to remember, I don't keep up with everybody's usernames because, as I just said, people change their names a lot. So
Yeah.
I don't keep up with their names because every day people change. But let me ask you something. Do you want me to ask you the questions of the panel?
Sure.
How do you feel about Bethany? Do you think she knew of anything that happened that morning?
I don't see how they couldn't have. I mean, the smell alone. Um, yeah, I don't know what to think about her because she hasn't talked or anything. So, but I don't see how they couldn't have known, you know. And if the neighbor's ring doorbell picked up audio, I mean, it had to be really loud in there when that was going on.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know where her room is on the bottom, and she's the one that's facing the parking lot or back.
Mm-hmm.
Window in the back. That's on the first floor. So I'm
Yeah.
not really sure.
And it's like we won't know anything till the trial, and it's going to be a long time till that happens.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you believe DM called her through the night while she was opening and closing the doors?
You mean texting her from her phone and
Whatever.
stuff?
I mean, you got to remember, we
I
don't know.
mean,
We're not there.
I
So
don't see
it could
how
be
you
either
could.
one. It could be texting or calling.
Yeah, I mean, I would be texting them to see what's going on, and you know, and the thing it said that DM originally went to sleep in her second floor room, so she must have, went downstairs or something after. that happened. Because originally, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're saying.
No, I don't follow you. What makes you think she went downstairs?
Because in the warrant of the, what do you call, it said that she originally went to sleep on the second floor. So originally makes me think that she left her room at some point.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I gotta you got background noise.
Yes, it's my son. I gotta get down.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I didn't know how to contact you.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll let you go since you've got other business.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel there's so much we don't know about this. Something just feels off about the facts, and it's bothered me about the witnesses. Okay. Well, I don't know. I got 105 viewing. Thank you. See, where I have the problem with this case, and as I said, it could be nothing, because I don't do all those wild conspiracies and accusations of different people, because in the end, allegedly, Korberger doesn't know these kids. He found them some type of way, but he doesn't know them directly, from my understanding. But when they decide to tell us that somebody was up breathing on the second floor, thank you, Laura, it changed the dynamic of naturally what we didn't know. Because the rumor was the kids ran out of the house from calling 911. Let's just start there. Rumor. Saw bodies, ran out. But then that makes no sense. That's why I always tell you why you have to pay attention to things. That makes no sense. Because think about what you're saying. They saw the bodies of somebody. They dialed 911 and then run out. Allegedly. This is from somebody that was speaking on their behalf. But what doesn't make any sense is the captain conflicts that information to say the call came from inside of the house. The phone used is one of the survivors' phone. So then that means somebody else used their phone. So why are you in the house with dead people? Please make me understand. I don't give a damn if it is 2 below 0. I'm not staying in this house. Period. Trailer park, I don't care. Condominium, 8 floors in a house. Queen ain't staying in there. You know, it's almost like a movie, the way this information has come out about this case. And I've told myself that when you start looking at things as if you're watching a TV program, something is wrong. And as I said, it could be nothing. But we're also going on a version of somebody else, and that just ain't good enough for me. Because as I said, I watch a lot of true crime. And the one thing I have found is that people lie. For some sick reason, people lie. People hold other people's secrets. As I just explained to you, a woman tells her new husband that her first husband said he murdered women. And this stupid woman, stayed with him how long? Then you go marry another person and you tell that person that secret. And then we have to ask ourselves, how long did he hold on to the secret? So we now have 2 people holding the secret of a rapist and a murderer. And the detectives are running around Florida trying to find a damn rapist and a murderer. When all along, the wife was told by the husband, oh yeah, by the way, I killed a few girls, blah, blah, blah. Who does that? So this is why I'm always apprehensive when there's an eyewitness, because I know people will lie. And I'm not saying these girls have lied. I'm just saying people do. And now that we know that one of those people was on the second floor, opening and closing doors, you can't really say she was drunk. Because I can say I was feeling good last night, and I wasn't opening and closing doors last night. Do you see where I'm going? And if I heard something strange, I possibly would have got up and looked out a peephole or window. But if I didn't see anything, I'll go back to bed and then go to sleep. Make me understand. 4 people struggling with a killer and a knife in a house that I'm sure the sound was echoing. Just like right now, I'm in this house by myself and my voice is echoing. And I'm here alone. So now factor in some shuffling, moving, thumping. God forbid somebody screamed. Don't know if he cut a vital organ to make them not scream. I don't know, but one of those people lied dead on the floor, which I believe is Xana. She didn't get over there by herself. Possibly stabbed in a struggle, thrown to the floor. That's probably the thud that the audio caught from the house next door. Whimpering and crying. And yet you just open and closing doors and then see the killer 3rd time. So now I have to ask, what did the girl downstairs hear? Was she up? Did DM ever call her while this altercation was going on? What were they talking about if they actually talked? Did DM ever try messaging any of the girls? If so, if you did, why not? Hey, what's going on? You know, some guy just walked by with a mask on. Any of you have company, friend over? Hey, Bethany, you got a friend came up? And then we know he wouldn't come up because he would go out the front door. Just, something's not right. This is strange to me. Oh, there's no way all those kids that were there the next morning, not one of them went in the house. I'm sure they were curious and wanted to go in and see or maybe even check on them. And that's a good point. We have not really dissected that either. If you found Ethan and Xana, one of you girls or both, did you go upstairs to check on Kaylee and Maddie? Very good point, Tracy. Did you go upstairs to check on Maddie and Kaylee? Or did you see blood, body stabbed, and said, oh, run out of here. Got to get out of here. Because in this instance, we could say each person would, once again, react differently. We ain't worried about nobody else. Let's get out of here. So how do we go from people inside calling 911? See, this is where I have the problem. If you ran out of the house after seeing the dead kids on the 2nd floor, and allegedly you dialed 911 before running out the door, there would not have been any misunderstanding before you got outside. Listen to me very carefully. The rumor is they called before running out of the house, if I'm repeating it correctly. One gets out, passes out. One's hysterical on the phone. But that makes no sense because allegedly you're supposed to have called before you got outside. So why would you be hysterical if you just called before coming out? This happened right before 12 p.m. I said from day one, I believe that DM and Bethany know way more than they're telling. I would have been out of there, jumped in my car, and drove my butt to the police station. If the kids were clearing out drugs from the house before calling cops, maybe they did go in their rooms and from then just wandering. I don't know. But I know a lot of people are not paying attention to the information, because if you listen carefully, you can find the discrepancies in the rumor and in the captain's assertion of what the girl said happened, allegedly. You can't be calling the police inside and then outside. So that means you're still on the phone with 911 when you get outside, and somebody comes up and asks you what's wrong, and one's lying on the ground, and then this person sees you as hysterical, and they say, hey, give me the phone, let me call, and they realize, oh, you're already on the phone with the dispatch. Help me understand. I'm confused. I'm utterly confused. Okay. All right, sweetie Paolo, thank you very much. I know it makes no sense. Hello, Baptistry. Thank you for joining me. I'm running out of the house. I'm on the phone with 911. One of us falls out, and I'm hysterical, screaming into the phone. Nobody understands what I'm saying. Pookie Ray Ray walks by. Hey, what's wrong? What's the matter? And I'm, who are you talking to? They grab the phone. Hello, who's this? Yes, this is 911. What's going on over there? I don't know. One girl's laying on the ground, and the other one, I can't understand what she's saying. Is that how that went? Scenario number one. Scenario number two. One of you get up, find the bodies, or both of you find the bodies of either the girls upstairs or Xana or Ethan. You do not call 911. You stupidly stay inside of the house and call your friends. I'll wait. How would someone be there if they call from inside of the house? Exactly. I have played you that audio from the captain of the police department. Reporters are asking him questions, and he specifically says the call came from inside of the house. And the reporter asks, well, who called? He would not say. Well, how did they call? He tells them from one of the girls' phones, one of the survivors. But the survivor didn't call. So how is a call coming into the dispatch after finding somebody dead, plural, but it's not from the two girls who are allegedly alive? Make it make sense. Why are there other people in this house calling 911 on your behalf? Because one fell out. So that means somebody passed out in the house, not outside. I'm not going to have you outside passed out and then I stand inside to make the damn 911 call. That wouldn't make any sense. I stand out where the body is. Because who's going to go back in the house where people are dead to make a 911 call? That's the last place you're going to go back in. What are you girls hiding? Are you not telling the truth about what the fuck happened in that house? Because either way, I play it out. From the rumor your so-called friend put out on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever the hell they put it out, it doesn't make any sense. And it can't go but one or two ways. Just saying. Did you all find those kids dead and call your friends first? And if so, why in the hell would you call your friends first? Because it makes no logical sense to do that. People dead, chopped up. you're going to call your friends over. This is not fucking Friday the 13th. What is going on here? Make sense. If you're in the viewing audience, you are in this chat, please hit the link. I'm tired of this story. I'm literally exhausted from talking about these kids and this stupid person that allegedly murdered them and all this little extra, read all about it stuff coming out, because the latest developments are mind-blowing and baffling, and it's become now Netflix times Oxygen times Lifetime times Snapped. This is just a bad TV show / series. Yes, it would have smelled horrific. As I've told you before, when my cousin killed himself and I went over the next day to help clean the house, it was a townhouse. He killed himself in an upstairs bedroom. So that matter was still upstairs. And it was evening when I got there. So naturally the blood had sat for almost like 24 hours. Yes, the smell was horrific. And that was from coming into the entry of the townhouse on the bottom. So these kids lie dead for at least 7 hours. The smell would be horrible. Bethany, did DM call you through the night while hearing noises, sounds on November 13th? Did you two have a conversation about the noise, altercations, and you two decided to not get involved as not to be nosy Parkers and snitches? I also found out that you two are in sororities, so it's just a sorority code. We don't talk about things, we don't get involved. We've had problems here before. Police coming here for noise complaints. We're just going to lay low. Did you two get up and go look to see what the fuck was going on, and you found these kids dead and went back to bed and decided to wait till 11:58 or so to call 911? But too scared to do it alone, so you called your friends over to make it look good, which obviously that means you don't watch a lot of true crime to know really that looks dumb as fuck. What is the truth? Because I'm tired of this bullshit. Because something is off. And I pray it's just we don't have all of everybody talking. But then who's all of everybody? Because there's only 2 left. 4 are dead. They can't tell us anything. The dog can't tell us anything. So that leaves these 2. I don't know. Oh man, I'll just give up. Let's play somebody's commentary since you all are slow to give your opinion. Because I'm exhausted. I can't listen to any more stories pertaining to these kids. And what's so sad now, Brian Kohlberger has a new attorney. So that means now he has to go over the information that this lady had to go over the past couple of weeks. He's got to catch himself up. I don't know if he'll be ready by June to represent Kohlberger in court, or he will stall and say, hey, I need more time. Number 2, will the state decide to indict Brian Kohlberger for the said murders and burglary and move this case on along? We will see. Right now, I'm just exhausted. Literally exhausted. Thank you, S. Lee, for the donation, honey. Thank you. Oh, man. All right, everybody. We're going to go to my community board and play you a little information. You're entitled to your opinion of the information you're about to hear. Know that this is someone's own personal opinion asking questions about the night of November 13th. It is not to say that any of the persons that are alive have anything to do with the murders of the Idaho Four, but that they were allegedly in that house when the children were bludgeoned to death. As I said, you are entitled to your opinion. Please check my community board out for said updates on this case. 2 interviews chopped up in small videos by News Nation. I also believe there's another video being played tonight by News Nation pertaining to Xana's mom, Kara. Thank you for joining me. Let me find this information here. One of my movies of the week is Rebecca. And also, there's an older version and a newer version if you are interested in period movies. Well, now I can't find it. 1 second. Well, I did have it here. Oh, I didn't get rid of it. My other movie of the week is No One Gets Out Alive. Netflix. Okay, everybody. I may have passed it because I've been uploading so much content this week. Now I can't find it for some reason. I also want to bring you an update pertaining to Lori Vallow. There's a lot going on with her too. Mercy. Maybe DM and BF knew it was going to happen. Well, they'll have to tie them in. I thought I had this video. Somehow I don't see it. Oh, here it is. I passed it. Sorry about that. This is by True Crime Design. Idaho 4. Why did Greek Road know more before police? Somebody says, depending on how drunk you are, I would have sobered up seeing a stranger walk around. Well, obviously not. The thing that's strange to me is this is your house you live in. You're not visiting someone's house. So it's almost like these people acting like they didn't even live there. So this is strange to me. This is your house, and you're not curious to this stranger walking by in your house. Whether it's a party house or not, there wasn't a party going on.
Many are wondering how and why it seems that several individuals failed to call 911 to report the gruesome murders of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan for 8 whole hours. What could have possibly been more important than calling for help? Was something in that house that could get one or potentially more in a lot of trouble? Join me for an exploration of why a sorority appears to have taken priority that fatal morning. Greek life and its role in decision-making in college life. Has something gone terribly wrong?
I mean, if this murder occurred at 4 a.m, they don't report it, or someone doesn't report it till noon. What's that all about? They run the house. This type of killing, it's going to be loud, both by the suspect and the victims. It's going to take a period of time. It's obviously going to be very bloody. And I just don't really understand that, but they are really the key.
The 911 call didn't come until midday the next day. Does that raise any red flags for you? How do you explain that?
I think the investigators are trying to ascertain why there was a delay and what actually occurred, what was heard, That's a question that's still out there.
Do you have any theories of your own? I don't know. The way everything got brought out was really weird, in my opinion. As far as how the 911 call was made like 8 hours later, I just think the timeline is very strange.
The scene wasn't chaos, the neighborhood, but it was very, very somber. Like I said, that is a community of college students that live over there. Many of them, through word of mouth, knew what had happened. They were standing outside. There was a lot of crying. There were friends trying to find out who exactly was inside the house. Some family members that arrived on scene. It was incredibly hard for the community, but it was also really, really hard on our officers.
Okay.
New device connected.
Listen to what he said here, police chief. Somber situation outside of the house. Young people standing outside trying to figure out who's decedent inside. Family members showed up. Who were the family members that showed up to the crime scene? And how long before they got information that somebody was deceased in the house to when they showed up? So I want you to see, you have to listen to things very carefully, because this is how you get to the truth. Whether anybody will own their part, and if the police wants to add somebody to the list of suspiciousness, always listen to the details, because the truth is at the beginning of the story, not the middle, not the end. People are outside. Family pulls up. People outside are trying to figure out who's dead on the inside. Think about what I just said. People are trying to figure out who's dead on the inside. Well, why are you standing out there if you don't know who's dead on the inside? Stay woke. Because somebody had to have called Pookie, Ray, Bubba, John, Billy, Susie, Mabel. Pay attention. I'm going to say it again. Somebody called somebody to say, I found such and such dead. Who was the first person in the house to call somebody? Who was the somebody's found first by the surviving roommates? Okay? Which one got up out of the bed first? Bethany or this Dylan girl? Who went to whose room first? One went to Xana's room first, or one went to Kaylee's room or Maddie's room first? Which one went where? See, all that's in the details. Because what's going to be baffling is if we find out that friends were called first before 911. Because you have to use deduction. Whether Kohlberger's DNA is at the scene or not, you still have to answer questions from the opposition, which is the defense. And if you call your fucking friends first, you are going to be chewed alive. Because anybody with sense is going to say, it was a bloody crime scene. Why are you calling your friends to tell them that your friends inside are dead? Ding, ding, ding. Why are you walking around the crime scene and there are dead people there? Why don't you think the killer could still be in the house? Ding, ding, ding. Why aren't you outside dialing 911? Get in your car. Go stand at the edge of the driveway. as not to track blood from place to place, touch anything. Because if you see a bloody scene, I would hope most people would react the fucking same. Run like hell. So now you've got to explain logically, if indeed you all called your friends first, backtrack 7 hours, and explain to us logically why one of you are up opening and closing doors while the killer is inside of the house, and he has to bypass your room to go in to the 3rd floor to kill, come back down the stairs and pass your room, cross into the living room, make a left around that wall, go to Xana's room and kill she and Ethan, come back out of that room, cross back into the living room, cross your room where you're standing there and he can see you, but doesn't say anything to you. He's in visual snow, walk past you into the kitchen and shut the damn glass slider. And you don't lock the door and you shut your door until 11:58 a.m. Did I get that correct? Did I get that correct? So how are you going to explain logically in a courtroom 7 hours passing of noise, whimpering, sounds, crying, dog barking, thuds, and then inviting your friends over after finding dead people and don't call 911? Please tell me it did not go the way I just said. Because the chief captain just said they called from inside. Somebody else called using one of the roommate's phones. So that puts another person in a crime scene. Are you all listening to what I'm saying? So nobody can judge nobody for wondering why somebody else is in this damn house full of dead people. Why do I need to go get Pookie and Ray Ray after just finding some people dead? I don't need to go call no fucking body but the damn police. You could judge it how you want. I'm talking about common damn sense. Blood had to be tracked all the way from the stairs going up and down, all the way around to Xana's room and back out through the slider. I don't want to be nowhere near the dead bodies after I found them. So therefore, I am booking out of there. So why is somebody inside of the house talking to an operator that is not DM and this Bethany chick? So somebody's going to have to regroup by the time trial gets here. Because you are not going to be able to logically explain why other people are in the house using the phone. So that means either the captain is lying or you two girls are lying. Take your pick. And the defense is going to wear your ass out about why you are up opening and closing doors while a killer is in the house. And feed next door gets the barking, a thud, whimpering, crying, and you hear nothing. But yet you're up, opening and closing doors while the killer is in this house killing people under at least 12 minutes. As the rapper used to say, 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, 6 minutes. You're on. This is a bad scary movie. This is a bad rap song. This is bad. Because this shit stinks, man. This stinks.
Very young, and that was the first real major crime scene.
Let's go back
that they
to what he was saying.
wasn't chaos,
Living.
the neighborhood, but it was very, very somber. Like I said, that is a community of college students that live over there. Many of them, through word of mouth, knew what had happened. They were standing outside. There was a lot of crying. There were friends trying to find out who exactly was inside the house. Some family members that arrived on scene. It was incredibly hard for the community, but it was also really, really hard on our officers. Some of them were very young, and that was the first real major crime scene that they had encountered. So emotionally, it was a very, very draining day.
ISP won't say who called 911 and would not confirm who found the bodies. ISP says
Video progress bar.
Police will not say who found the body and who made the 911 call. Say it again. Police will not reveal who called 911 and who found the bodies. Why not? Why not tell us? You've given us information in the affidavit to secure the warrant against Brian C. Kohlberger as the suspect of these slayings. And you don't want to tell us who called 911. Why not? You don't want to tell us who found which bodies first. Why not? Who found which body first? 2 people are in each room, so it's 2 for 2. Who found whom first? Who called 911? You don't want to tell us because you know it's not going to sound right that somebody else was in that house with a bunch of dead people and 2 living people. That's why you don't want to tell us. And that's my assertion right now. Until I find out otherwise. You know, police chief captain, that it's not going to sound right. People hearing that other people were in the house with 4 dead kids and 2 alive. Rigor mortis has set in. And how do you even explain to somebody? I was up while the killer was in the house, opening and closing doors. And the killer walked by me with a mask on, bushy eyebrows. And he didn't think to cut me up, as not to have an eyewitness. But later goes to Pennsylvania 1 month later, vigorously cleaning his car, as not to be detected as the killer. Make it make sense.
telling police could be the key to the entire investigation, and they're hoping the roommates can fill in the timeline between when the murders happened and when someone called 911.
Advertising.
Sorry, commercial. Chopping up the situation as it is. I tell people, you're entitled to think what you want pertaining to a crime, but you cannot get angry at people for questioning the information, especially when it doesn't make any logical sense. And I'm praying that when trial comes, all these questions we have of things that do not add up and make any sense will make some sense. But thus far, the opening and closing of doors during the 20-minute interval makes no sense to me. Now, I will wait to hear who called what, who saw what first, and how it came to be that the 911 call came into existence.
Now, to be clear, I'm not putting a specific organization or Greek life as an entity on trial. A lot of Americans have good experiences in Greek life and leave with experiences, friendships, and social skills, which are all positives. But it's also true that these organizations have a bit of an unsavory reputation, commonly known for reckless behavior, hazing, and alcohol and substance abuse issues. In fact, both Kaylee's sorority, Alpha Phi, as well as Maddie and Xana's sorority, Pi Beta Phi, are both on probation for, quote, violations or concerns regarding risk management, alcohol and drugs, or hazing, end quote. And unfortunately, it's not uncommon for these activities to end tragically, as time and time again, young lives are lost senselessly, causing these organizations to come under fire.
West Virginia University.
Birch was rushed to the hospital Thursday after what the university is calling a catastrophic medical emergency.
I don't think anyone realized how intoxicated actually was.
He was pledging in a fraternity, blindfolded, taken into a room. He was given a bottle of whiskey. We don't know what happened in that room. They're not telling us.
Anything you're trying to protect, brothers, trust me, they don't deserve it.
The number one rule is, you must protect the house.
Hazing doesn't get reported. Everybody is more concerned about saving their own than they are about taking care of the person who could be safe.
They could take a photo, but they couldn't call 911.
Somebody should have done something and could have done something. Anything that could go wrong that night did. And then at the end of the day, nobody got him any help.
Like I said, we wouldn't be sitting here right now having this conversation if one person had made a call. One. We'd have our son.
I think the fact, as far as his story and what's saving lives, is recognizing when somebody is in trouble to actually step in and to do something. Don't be the wallflower, and don't be the one that somebody's telling you not to do it. Step up, do the right thing, and make the right decisions.
If you see somebody whose health may be impaired, call us. We'd rather come on those calls and address that health concern before it becomes a tragedy.
Frat in trouble compared to losing a friend, a brother, or whatever, in death. You're talking about a fraternity maybe getting a slap on the wrist. I look at it the opposite way. You do the right thing and you call. That's a positive for your fraternity. You might get scolded, you might get suspended for a little bit, but you did the right thing. You were a true brother.
Penn State University.
Penn State student Timothy Piazza.
We have new evidence.
Surveillance video that authorities say was once destroyed, now recovered by the FBI.
This is the video that they clearly did not want seen.
Guess what, guys? Now we know.
Prosecutors say the footage from the basement of the Beta Theta Pi house shows fraternity brothers giving the 19-year-old pledge at least 18 drinks of beer, wine, and vodka, all in just an hour and 22 minutes.
I am glad that the basement video was recovered and we finally know what went on down there, because that was the whole defense argument. We don't know.
New charges against a dozen former fraternity brothers, bringing the total to 26. On the night of February 2nd, prosecutors say Piazza and other Beta Theta Pi pledges participated in a drinking challenge called the Gauntlet.
They bring the pledges and make them drink copious amounts of alcohol really quickly.
Piazza eventually suffered a catastrophic fall, 15 feet down a flight of stairs. A grand jury report says no one immediately called 911. Instead, previously released surveillance video from the upper floors of the frat house captured hours of Piazza in distress, the injured college sophomore trying to get up and repeatedly falling over. 4 men are seen dragging his limp body upstairs, trying to rouse him by slapping his face and pouring water over him. Instead of dialing 911, the report says the brothers were using their phones to search for the phrases falling asleep after head injury, and a few minutes later, binge drinking, alcohol, bruising or discoloration, cold feet, and cold hands. 12 hours after Piazza's fall, the first call for help.
What's going on today?
We have a friend who's unconscious. He hasn't moved. He's cold. He's struggling.
Tragically, a lot of these fatalities could have been avoided if anyone called 911. But kids all over college campuses are binge drinking and acting rowdy. So it leads one to ask, what is it about Greek life, fraternities, and sororities that seem to produce almost a lethal threat to young college kids? Is it possibly a combination of peer pressure, secrecy, loyalty, and social intimidation that all contribute to a culture of
When you watch this footage here, True Crime Design is the source, uploaded 2 days ago. Why did Greek Road know before police? In relation to what I'm talking about here in this live stream. This is another university where a young man died, alcohol poisoning, fell 15 feet. You will see participants standing around him in the frat house. One guy lightly kicks him with his own foot, but really didn't seem to care. And that's the whole point of why it makes no sense to even be in a frat or a sorority. You can't say you'll go to the ends of the earth for your brother or a new inductee or somebody on the line trying to become in the sorority or fraternity if you'll watch him or her die and not call the police, as you hear this man say. Wouldn't it be easier to just call the police to save your fraternity or sorority from being disbanded? That's the part you don't understand. If it shows that you were negligent in the death of a person online or another frat member, sorority sister, they can disband the fraternity sorority altogether. You won't have a chapter on your campus. May have a chapter somewhere else at another university, but it won't be there. Okay? So what's the worst case scenario? As he said, get suspended for a while, get inducted, and save a life. Here, you're causing the death of somebody, force feeding them alcohol, watching them flap around like a wet seal. Don't wake up and you're kicking them with your foot and walking off, letting hours and hours go by, and then you wait till a new day decides you want to call 911. It's too late. You're gonna call the police to say, "Oh yeah, John's not waking up. I don't know what's wrong with him." Yet your frat house has security cameras. But this is what happens when you're a dodo bird and you have aided in the death of someone and your frat house has security footage. You let the man die. So you are complicit. If you never gave him the alcohol and you walked by and saw him laying there for a while, you're complicit. You realize he wasn't moving, you're complicit. You saw that he was stiff, cold, no pulse, you're complicit. And you're going to carry that around with you? You're going to carry around knowing somebody didn't wake up from a drinking game or they fail. And in this case, drinking and fail. And you all let them lie in a stairwell for hours. There's no excuse for this behavior. And you need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
Among young adults on college campuses.
Come on, you guys. You're doing this because you're supposed to be together and it's lifelong and it's all this stuff. Well, the bond starts right there. You see somebody in trouble, help that somebody. There's amnesty laws in just about every state.
Cordell Davis, a fraternity brother who was at the event that night, says he tried to get Piazza the help he needed.
I was screaming and yelling. I was saying we need to take him to a hospital. We should call an ambulance, dial 911.
It's nice that he had good intentions at the time, but I don't know why anybody didn't pick up a phone.
The bystander effect occurs when the presence of others discourages an individual from intervening in an emergency situation against a bully or during an assault or other crime. The greater the number of bystanders, the less likely it is for any of them to provide help to a person in distress. People are more likely to take action in a crisis when there are few or no other witnesses present.
In this video, you will see 5 people in the front of the video standing around the guy lying in the floor. Unbelievable. He is lying in the floor and they are standing around. Wow. They are standing around just looking at him and talking to themselves. Make it make sense. But there's supposed to be loyalty in Greek life. But yet you will watch this person lie in the floor comatose. Make it make sense. Where is the loyalty in allowing this guy who obviously is online to be in the fraternity? He's not going to make it to be in the fraternity because he eventually dies. If you see where I'm going with this. And you're going to lie now for the rest of your brothers and what actually happened to this guy, but the truth eventually came out. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL.
Also known as groupthink, is when a person has a strong tendency to fall for group decision making. If someone has a hive mentality, they feel invulnerable and morally correct when they're part of a certain group. They may also not be able to make decisions on their own. They often feel isolated or stressed when making decisions. That's why they turn to a hive mentality.
I remember one night we had to clean out like a bunch of different rooms. And like that was kind of like the hazing thing. And this kid was like, I don't want to do this. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like so tedious. And he left that night. My mentality is different than other kids. Like, I like doing that hardcore shit. I like building a team. I like building around other people, but not everybody does. So like they joined the fraternity and like that kid walked out that night, but like he wasn't really liked anymore. And like that's something that probably should change.
So what does this have to do with a quadruple homicide case, you may be asking? When we consider that all 4 of our victims were involved in Greek life, the 2 survivors were involved in Greek life, and the house itself was situated proudly on Greek Row, it's worth asking the question if this same pattern of irresponsibility could be a likely explanation for that 8-hour time gap. Really, the only logical explanation that I can think of for that time gap when we know that others were phoned before police, in my opinion, is I think that it's drug related. I think something had to be removed from the house. And considering that both sororities were on probation, so it is possible that the witnesses may have called friends and sisters, sorority sisters, get rid of some sort of paraphernalia or something like that. That's really the only logical explanation I can think of. That time could have also been used to clean up the scene, maybe not in a nefarious way, but who knows? Again, I'm not here to bash college students, Greek life, or the younger generation, but there is a pattern of apathy, recklessness, and selfishness that I can't really let go here. When you think about the fact that all 4 victims laid cold and stiff in a pool of their own blood for 8 hours while the campus played telephone and the crime scene may have been irreparably compromised. I know I'm not alone here and that a lot of people are bothered by this particular part of the timeline. It makes no sense and really goes against everything we know as humans and our basic principles of integrity and common sense. Are we so desperate to belong that we can become detached from these basic human values? And that's the question that I'm posing about what happened in those 8 hours.
Up next, Jen.
All right, everybody. Are we oblivious to the truth? Older and young. Because we've learned older people behave the same as young people. No empathy. Doesn't concern me. It's not my business. I don't have anything to do with what's going on. Not my problem. And we know that these people have issues with their sororities. 2 in the house were suspended. So 2 of the girls belonging to a sorority, their sorority was on suspension. So what you have to ask yourself, did something happen in that house besides the murders? Lead these girls to try to hide something, drugs, whatever. I never wanted to discuss drugs because if I don't have proof of anything, I don't like making accusations that somebody was on drugs, that the crime was drug related. You know, people trying to throw all these knives and daggers at Xana's mom in the beginning. You had no proof of that. The girl, it's obvious the woman didn't even really know her daughter to implicate her in the crime of murdering, having her child murdered. I do not believe the mother knew BK. I don't believe any of these kids knew him. I believe he found them through social media or out somewhere, and he became attached to these kids, obsessed with these kids, and the rest is history. But you can't explain opening and closing doors during the commission of a crime and then the 7-hour hold. Both of those situations is something's off. And if we're going to bank on one person's assertion for this entire situation, this is not going to fly with 12 members of a jury. I can tell you that now. And I'm not saying that they're going to find him innocent. What I'm saying is even if there's evidence tying him in, DNA, hair, dog hair, his house, his car, their hair, his blood and their blood, whatever, they're still going to say to themselves, how are you up opening and closing the doors while he's there? While he is there. Why are other people dialing 911 7 hours later? You're going to have to explain that to those people. Whether there's a lot of evidence against him and it looks like he did it, the jury has the right to ask any questions. And that's what you have to remember about a crime. The state will lay out the crime, the alleged motive, and they will ask the panel, do you have any questions about the information that's been given to you? And they may ask, I need to hear the testimony from the two roommates again. And I can bet you they're going to ask to hear the testimony from the two girls, Bethany and Dylan. And they're going to want to say, I still don't understand how one was up. And then that's going to go into this other question, because all it takes is one jury member to throw the verdict. Well, is she sure that's him? Because he had on just a mask over his nose and mouth. And why would he not kill her? He just killed all her friends. Then he came back to the house that morning. What was he doing outside? Then he stayed in Washington for a whole month. He didn't run. He didn't leave. He didn't dump his car. He registered his car because his tags were due. So he wasn't going to fly or flee. Then he went home with his dad. But he never packed up his apartment. So he wasn't running. Do you see where I'm going? And all it takes is one bit of doubt, reasonable doubt, for somebody to start thinking outside of the box. Or start thinking that there are others involved because of the timeline and the opening and closing of the doors, inviting other people over and calling 911 when the logical thing would be to run out of the house. If you saw dead people, we're not talking about somebody unconscious and maybe somebody died in their sleep. We're talking about brutally stabbed. There's no way in hell I'm staying in there. Period. My ass is gone. Now, you want to stand here and look at these dead people? That's on you, Sugarfoot. But I'm out of here. Make it make sense. Because those are the questions that the jury will have. Why was this girl up at 4 a.m? Did she call her roommates to ask what was going on? When she saw the guy walk by, did she text any of the girls? Did she come out of the room at any point? Were the lights on or off when he walked by her door? Why didn't she lock the slider door? Did she come back out of that room, Dylan, to see blood trail, somebody dead, but decided not to call? Did she message Bethany to say, something's not right? I hear trouble. But neither one got involved. Why not? Did they actually get along with the other roommates? Bingo card. Was there a rift between the girls? Was there a rift between the five? Did anyone feel alienated that's alive? Ding. Did somebody say on that fateful morning, I don't give two fucks. I'll worry about it later. And then they played the role of grieving roommates, finding some kids dead, and didn't want to call alone, asked to have a guilty conscience, and or had hid or done something nefarious, call those other kids over to do something, and then dial 911. What are you all talking about down there in that chat? Well, Jen P, we're entitled to our opinion. This is my chat, and I'm letting people speak their minds, and I'm the hostess, and I will speak my mind. And I will be 52 on Sunday, so let me school you on something. I didn't get to be 51 by being a follower. I have the gift of discernment. Obviously, you don't know my network. And when I get a feeling that something is off, I'm usually not wrong. There is something wrong with the story. Because when you live in a place where you are separated by walls and floors, you can hear through the walls and floors. I don't know, maybe you live in a barn or you live in a great wilderness where there are no doors and windows. But where I live, I know when a motherfucker just got home. How about that? I know when somebody's dog is going back and forth scratching. I know when people pull up and leave. I know when the FedEx truck pulls up. UPS truck pulls up. Mail truck pulls up. That's from paying attention. So I'm going to say this as kindly as I can. You want me to sit here at 51.5 years and believe somebody sat in a house in the dead of morning and didn't sense that something was wrong in that house after 4 a.m. Because you will not be up opening and closing doors if 1, you're sleepy, 2, you're drunk. I will believe what I want to believe. Because I'm not a dumb. Obviously, you don't get it. Well, I grew up in Chicago too. And that's the very reason why I got the sense I got. That something's off in this story. And the one thing that some of you all don't like, you don't like the truth. You like what sounds good. Well, this is a murder. Let me school you for a second. This is a murder times 4. So what nothing good going on at 4 a.m. at 1122 King Road in the first damn place? Nothing good was going on at 4 a.m. Somebody had been stalking these kids. And whether somebody else is involved with this case or not, what's been told to us don't sound right. Whether these girls knew of something, saw something, lied about something. It just don't sound right. And if you have just 5 people listening to the story and they say the same thing, what are you getting upset for? Because people are speaking their mind saying something doesn't sound right with this story. She was better off never saying anything. How about that? How about that? I didn't hear anything. I was on the 2nd floor and I woke up and I found blood outside my door. and I went and knocked on their door or looked in and saw blood. I ran out and dialed 911. I fell out. She fell out. Some people must have came up and grabbed their phones and called 911. This girl lived there. She and the other girl. Stop trying to make it seem like she's a visitor in her own house. She lived there. As I live where I live. And you want me to just sit here right now on a live stream and watch a motherfucker walk by me and I continue to sit on this computer. That's what you're telling me I should be doing? Right now, somebody walks by me, past this room I'm in. No, let's role play because I've learned about people who can't use common sense. Right now, a person walks by this fucking door and I continue to sit on the live stream and talk to the people in the audience as if I did not see this person walk by with a fucking mask on. And then I shut the computer off and shut my door to my own fucking house and go to sleep. That's what you're telling me. Because if you tell me right now I would be right for doing that, then you're crazy as fuck. And yes, many people have reacted allegedly as this girl did. But I'm not. Yes, it would be the same thing. That's the point. Too much was going on allegedly, if we're to believe her version, for you not to be wondering why this person is walking by. So what? It was a party house. There was no party going on. Hello, Linda. Thank you so much, sweetie. There was no partying going on. So you can't even use that as an excuse to the police. Oh, it was a party. We live in a party house, so I didn't pay no attention to him walking by. At 4 in the morning? 4 in the morning, there's no noise, there's no party, there's no music. Some random person is walking by your room while you're hearing all this weird stuff going on, and you just said, okay, I'm going to shut the door. That, if you listen to what she's told you, you would almost think all that is made up. How about that? Since we're picking on the two survivors. How about this? Bring it to them, Queen, because they ain't ready. How about they ain't survivors? How about Kohlberger knew they were there all along and he didn't want to kill them? So therefore, if Kohlberger left you alive, you are not a survivor. Say it again, Queen. You are not a survivor if he deliberately left you untouched. Checkmate. I say it again because somebody didn't hear you in the back. You are not a survivor if the killer deliberately left you untouched. He walked by your door at least 3 times. And he didn't once put his hand on the doorknob. Oh, he didn't want to bust the door down. He didn't want to make noise. He's a killer. Who's going to stop him? Think. That makes no logical sense to even say he didn't want to make no noise. Well, guess what? He made some noise. And the only person who knows the truth of how much noise was made is the dog, the dad, them 2 girls, and Brian C. Kohlberger. Checkmate. You dick around on your own time. I don't play them type of childish games when it comes to people being brutally murdered. Because as I've told you before, there are too many people who know about death and never told the truth of what happened. And I have seen it time and time again where people saw the people being killed, knew that they were going to be killed, helped with them being killed, and they never told the truth until the tail was caught in the trap. I don't know nothing about these kids, the two living or the deceased, but I got enough sense to know if you are up at 4 a.m. opening and closing doors, you know something is wrong if I am to believe her version. That's what I'm saying. If this is what you're going to sell to the police and to 12 members of the jury, make it make sense. And you can't explain that behavior, nor can you explain going to your house and shutting the door and sleeping. Nor can you explain waking up and allowing other people to call 911 in your house. So nobody was good enough to call at 4 a.m. 4:20 a.m. But they were good enough to call near 12 p.m. allegedly when somebody's passing out on the floor. So ask yourself, how did those people get in the house to call 911? Because the captain says the call came from inside. And I don't know any dead people that get up and make cell phone calls. So how did those people get in the house to call 911 that somebody passed out and somebody can't speak? I'll wait. Make it make sense. And as I said, I am not saying that these girls had anything to do with the deaths of their friends, but the behavior is suspicious. And you cannot tell somebody not to question the version she gave. This is DM's version. So if you have a problem, then you take it up with her. Because she's putting this information out here. I'm not putting it out here. And if you don't think it's going to sound right, then don't repeat it. Because I can tell you, honestly, she should have never said anything. If she's telling the truth, she should have just kept it to herself. Because it doesn't make any sense to be up, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the killer is in the rooms. And it's a small circumference from the third floor to the second. And you want me to sit here in my right mind and say, a person is opening and closing the doors, and this man is killing these kids. He is killing these kids in a small house. Because the second to the third is not a long way. So you're up. You're not asleep. You are up. So that's what you need to visualize. Kohlberger is in the house killing your friends while you are opening and closing doors. Open the door, go back, sit back down. Open the door, go back and sit back down. Open the door. Make this make sense to yourself. Third time you get up and open the door, Kohlberger is walking towards the door. You didn't say I peeped out the door. It was a crack in the door. The door was slightly ajar. You said he walked towards me. I'm saying in the door way. So which is it? You peeped out the door was cracked. Which is it? But yet he vigorously cleans his car a month later, knowing he's caught. He knows this. Emptying trash at 4 a.m. That's the witching hour for him. Lucky number 4. Putting trash in neighbors' bags, but he lets a whole human live. I want you to think about that. He's been stalking the girls for months, so he knows who lives in the house. He knows there are girls on every floor of the house. Yet only 3 are butchered, besides Ethan. I'm going to say it again. He stalked the house, so he knows who lives in this house. Watched the cars, the tags, possibly Googled everybody in the house, followed them coming and going, but only 3 females die. What is it exactly I'm waiting for trial? To hear what exactly? He's going to plead not innocent. So what is it that I'm getting ready to hear to make it make sense? When the perpetrator is 9 times out of 10 not going to testify and not going to explain the pings at the house 12 times, coming back to the scene at 9 o'clock in the morning, car being seen in the area, DNA at the scene, and God knows what other evidence they have. I'm just saying, what is going to explain to me? You entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe he intended for only 3 to die. He didn't see DM standing in the door. DM had no idea what was going on. Bethany had no idea what was going on. She didn't hear or see anything that morning. They are not involved in the crime in any form or fashion. They didn't call people to hide anything that morning. But what you can't explain is audio feed recording a barking dog, a thud, crying and whimpering, and you are on the 2nd floor while the killer is killing your friends. The killer has killed your 2 friends above you. You heard whimpering, crying, noise, people talking, dog barking. Killer walks by you in a mask, goes out the 2nd floor slider. You don't lock the door. Go back in your room. Never call 911. Don't know if you called any of the girls or messaged any of them through the night, in the morning. Get up the next morning. Friends are over after finding bodies. What part of this story did you think I'm a damn fool? You believe what you want. Thank you all for joining me. Something's not right here. And it would be a shame to find out that these girls were up talking through the night while their friends were being butchered, before, during, and after, and decided to not call 911 for whatever reason. That Bethany was possibly up and heard odd sounds and noises, but did nothing. Heard her friend whimpering and crying above her, but did nothing. Possibly could have conspired with this woman to wait until almost noon to call 911. But too afraid to do it on their own because they knew that they never called when they heard suspicious activity in the house that morning. So they waited until almost noon to call because they were frightened to do it on their own. Because they knew it's going to sound jacked up that they wouldn't have heard anything. And the sick part of the story will be if they did. They heard their friends hollering. They heard their friends screaming. They heard the thuds. They heard the whimpering and the crying, but did nothing. But conspired together to hold the lie, hold the truth of knowing, but did nothing. And called friends over. And then the story came to be about the Idaho 4. You see, you are nothing but skin, flesh, and bone, and your word. You are only worth your word. Your word should be bond. If you are not known to be a truthful person, you have no worth. You have no worth. Because if I cannot believe what you tell me, you are known to lie, pathological liar, habitual liar. What is your worth? Because you see, you don't even know who you're talking to if you are dealing with a liar. And if you lie once, especially about something such as 4 people dying in your house, you will lie about anything. And you are not to be trusted. I want to know what that girl heard and saw on the bottom floor. Bethany, what did you hear that morning? Did you hear Xander, Conoto, and Ethan Chapin cry, moan, scream, fall out, hit a wall, hit the floor? Or you slept soundly the entire night? How did you come to know somebody was dead in that house? Did you go and find the children on your own? Or did DM wake you up first or message you first or message you through the night? What's the truth? Will we find out the truth? And let me say, if you two are lying and have knowledge of your friends being brutally murdered and never uttered a word those 7 hours, both of you need your asses beat. Because in the end, you're going to have to pay the piper if you knew those kids were being slaughtered and you didn't help. And my spirit, could it be wrong? Of course. But my spirit is telling me something is off. Something is seriously off with their versions. DMs anyway. I don't know what Bethany has told law enforcement. I don't know if she told him she slept the entire night. I don't know what time she told him she got up. I don't know what she told him she smelled, what time she came out of her room, if she had conversations with DM through the night, morning. I don't know. Nothing has been said on that level. But I know DM's version of the opening and closing doors, hearing the odd sounds and conversations, it's very strange to me. And then to see the killer go by, assuming he was whom I don't understand. And then you don't even run and lock the door just as a precaution because you know he can't lock it from shutting it and he goes out. That's strange to me. You've never seen him before. You don't know that any of the girls are dating him. Why not go lock the door? And if it's just that you froze, why would you freeze? If this is allegedly a party house, different people run in and out of here. So see, you have to connect the dots to make it make sense. I was in a frozen shock, frozen phase is what you said in the affidavit. Why would you be frozen if your house is known to keep lots of company? You were frozen because you weren't expecting somebody to walk by that floor in a mask at 4 o'clock in the morning. You knew you heard strange things going on is why you kept opening and closing your doors, allegedly, if I'm to believe it went down that way. And that's my mod said the other day. Could it be, hey, she saw Koiberger come in versus leaving out? Imagine that. Imagine if it's backwards. Imagine if it's backwards. She saw Koiberger come in. So she's standing in the doorway and he's coming in, so they're facing each other head to head, eye to eye. And he walks by her to go what? Upstairs first. Why would he do that? If, let's say, she saw him initially coming in. We'll address the footprint at the door. Was the footprint going towards the door as if he went to the door first? Coming in from the slider initially? Is it him coming down the stairs after brutally killing the two girls and he left a bloody print? Walking towards the living room area? Or the footprint is coming back from Xana's room to walk past that hallway and then out through the kitchen? So did he get more blood on him round 1 or round 2? Or did he want to go into DM's room but didn't want to make any noise? Busting the door open. Fumbling with the knob. Let me in. Let me in. Don't make me break this door down. Who was going to hear it? And who was going to tell it? As they say, a dead man tells no tales. Or is it a made-up story? Good point. You heard whimpering and crying. You heard what you thought was somebody playing with a dog. You heard somebody saying it's going to be okay. You heard somebody say, I think somebody's here. Because you were up listening the entire time. You listened at this man walk through this house, chopping up your friends. And possibly you never opened the door. You just listened. But maybe on that last time, when he was done with the kids on the second floor, maybe that was indeed your first time opening the door and saw Korberger walk by. But the ultimate question is, why would he spare you? Because he had to have known DM, Bethany, that both of you live in this house. Both of you are seen in photographs with the decedents. You all were allegedly friends. So he spared you too, for what reason? All of you all nice looking girls. So what are we to believe? That he fixated only on 3 or 2 or 1 and decided to spare you, DM, and Bethany because he didn't want you to in that way. You were not his fantasy, obsession. So he knew you were on the bottom floor, Bethany. DM, he knew you were on the second floor because he's lied in wait and watched, Pete, got a sense of who stayed where, or hell, didn't care. But then that makes no sense either. Because in order to leave somebody alive, come on with it, Queen, they ain't ready. I had to have known where you were if your door was locked. Say it again. I had to have known which room you were in to spare you. I don't think somebody heard what I said. I had to have known which room you were in to spare your life. Because nobody was there to save anybody. And I planned on killing whomever, and I did. So why would I leave 2 alive? Why would Brian Korberger leave 2 alive? They were not a part of the fantasy, the obsession. He did not desire them in the way he desired the targets. But would he risk it all for the target or targets to leave 2 behind to testify? Was he in such a daze coming from Xana's room that he walked by DM standing in the doorway? Make it make sense. One minute, you guys. Okay. I had a friend that wanted to speak, but I don't know. Maybe not. Let's see what News Nation has to say. News Nation is the source. Attorney for Idaho victim's mom quits to represent her daughter's alleged killer.
Keller, who we've seen in court with Koberger, withdrew as the... Last night, the mother of Idaho murder victim Xana Kernodle spoke to News Nation's Ashley Banfield, and this wasn't just about how heartbroken she is or even about the suspect, Brian Koberger. No, she has a bizarre connection to Koberger's lawyer that should really lead to a lot of questions. Koberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, who we've seen in court with Koberger, withdrew as the lawyer for Kara Northington, Xana's mother, when she agreed to take the Koberger case. Yes, Koberger's lawyer withdrew from her case to defend the man accused of killing her daughter. Her charges were filed on November 19th, just 6 days after her daughter's murder. After being charged with 2 felony counts of possession of a controlled substance, Taylor withdrew on January 5th, the day a judge appointed her as Koberger's public defender for the murders.
Let's go back. Let's go back and hear that again. Listen very carefully.
Koberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, who we've seen in court with Koberger, withdrew as the lawyer for Kara Northington, Xana's mother, when she agreed to take the Koberger case. Yes, Koberger's lawyer withdrew from her case to defend the man accused of killing her daughter. Her charges were filed on November 19th, just 6 days after her daughter's murder. After being charged with 2 felony counts of possession of a controlled substance, Taylor withdrew on January 5th, the day a judge appointed her as Koberger's public defender for the murders of Zit.
Video progress bar 46 seconds of 3 minutes.
Miss Taylor. Miss Taylor, 6 days. That's not even a week. Charges are filed against Kara Northington. And if we're to believe that you got the case as soon as the charges were filed, how in God's name you did not know this was the mother of one of the victims? I'll wait. News Nation is the source if you need verification for the information. If you have a problem with the information, I suggest you take it up with News Nation. Miss Taylor, the Queen wants to know, why in the hell are you defending this woman and then drop her to defend this fucking creep? Because now the charges are filed the middle of November. He doesn't get arrested till December 30th. You drop her January 5th. So you've known a long time. You've known a long time that he allegedly killed this. Lord. Okay. If you knew 5 days, 6 days is long enough for me. So what day, ma'am, did you find out you were going to let her go as your client? Let's ask that question. Why would you want to represent Koberger? I mentioned this in my last live stream earlier today, that perhaps you did this for clout. You did this to throw his case off balance. You wanted 5 minutes of fame. High profile case. Everybody's talking about it in Idaho and the United States. I want to be a part of this. Were you trying to build a white version of the Johnny Cochran dream? What are we talking about here? Oh, everybody will know my name in America. I'm representing the man that slaughtered the 4 college students. Is that how it went? Fuck her mama. Nobody cares about a drug addict. Yeah, I'm saying it. Because sometimes you have to get a little gritty to let the truth sink in. High profile. Everybody will know my name. Everybody will come looking for me after the trial. They'll be making documentaries. People will want to interview me. Gee, if I didn't know any better, I'd think you were related to Koiberger. Notoriety, amazing. Sick monster hunting girls versus a sick hunting public defender. Checkmate. They're all going to know my name. I'll be famous. I'll be just as infamous as Brian Koiberger. I'll be the attorney that tried to get him off. Or if you're skilled as Jose Baez, maybe get him off. But it didn't work that way. So what are we to believe about you, Miss Taylor? Because he didn't get arrested until December 30th. It's almost a month now. You dropped Miss Kara on the 5th of this month, 3 weeks ago. So you dropped her 6 days later from his arrest. So one would say, in the 6 days, you had knowledge at some point of the connection between victim, mother, and suspect. Why would you drop Kara as your client knowing her child is one of the victims? You can't explain it logically, kind of like this fucking DM version. Why would you drop Kara, ma'am, as your clients? I'm waiting. Hello, Marge. Isn't it amazing how everybody is similar? And I've brought you content pertaining to psychopath, sociopath, narcissism. That a psychopath is not necessarily a killer. A killer isn't necessarily a psychopath, sociopath. We all carry tendencies of a sociopath and a psychopath. We just haven't murdered anybody yet. Stay woke. So, in this world we live in, 6 degrees of separation, fate brings everybody into each other's paths for some crazy, bizarre reason. And all this new information coming out today, yesterday, Xana's mom having dealings with Miss Taylor. Miss Taylor drops her on the 5th to represent Koiberger. 6 days of knowledge at some point or other. Now recused herself because the information is out. Also, we find out that Kara's other daughter, Jasmine, is at Washington State. Uh-oh! Did you hear that? The other sister was at school with Koiberger. Ding, 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 ding. You all better wake up out there. 6 degrees of separation. Make it make sense. Koiberger, Jasmine, Miss Taylor, Kara, and the Idaho 4. 6 degrees of separation. How did it come to be that these people would cross paths with one another to this dirty, dirty game? Hide and go seek, stalking, lying in wait, kill the kids, leave 2 alive, catch the killer, alleged killer. Attorney drops the mother of one of the victims for the killer. And then also the victim's sister attends Washington State with Koiberger. 6 degrees of separation. Make it make sense. Now, you should be asking the ultimate question. Did Koiberger know Xana had a sister at his university? Ding, ding, ding. I'll let you sit on that for a minute.
And Ethan. Xana's mom spoke with Ashley about how she felt learning the news that her attorney had sort of switched sides, so to speak.
I'm heartbroken because I trusted her. She pretended that she was wanting to help me, and to find out that she's representing him, I can't even convey how betrayed I feel.
Northington goes on to say that no one had notified her Taylor was no longer in her case, but she found out from her friend who saw it on Reddit. Says she hasn't signed any kind of formal waiver giving approval for the switch, and even says she'd given Taylor her power of attorney. Now, Taylor obviously made a choice. Withdrew from Xana's mother's case for the bigger case, Koberger, and the murder. Sure, small town, limited pool of public defenders, and even fewer who are qualified to handle a death penalty case. I get it. But it doesn't change the reality that a woman who trusted her attorney, who was depending on her attorney, was abandoned by her to instead represent the guy accused of killing her daughter. Why is that okay without her consent? Joining me now is Tim Kressback, a former Idaho public defender who served as death penalty qualified counsel in Idaho. Thanks so much for coming on the program. Real quick, any obligation on the lawyer's part to consult with the client about withdrawing from this kind of case?
Perhaps. I just don't think we know enough about that attorney-client relationship. I'm not even sure that Ann Taylor ever met with her or learned any confidences. And
that's not the way she's characterizing it.
The process will be played out. Dan, there's so much in this case that we don't know. Just don't.
Video progress.
All right, let's be truthful, Mr. Lawyer. Why in the world would a woman tell the national news that she gave, to her knowledge, power of attorney to her attorney to go into a drug rehab center and be making that up? That doesn't sound like something a person would make up. Now, I don't care that she's an addict, an alcoholic. That's not to say that a person is a liar just because they're a drug addict or alcoholic. Because in the end, it makes no logical sense to say, I'm going to give a strange person power of attorney in me so I can enter a drug rehab. Maybe she thought she was doing best by making this decision. Maybe she doesn't have a lot of friends. She doesn't have a lot of family that she trusts. So she said, well, I'll trust the lawyer versus my family or my friends. See, we don't know. But I can say this doesn't even sound like something made up. So now we have to wait for verification of the documents that Karen Northington signed. Because somebody on some other network said she didn't sign, she signed something else, but it wasn't that. Well, my thing is, how do you know what she signed? And the fact that she recused herself is, damn, nobody listens. How are you going to recuse yourself from something that you never represented? Ding, ding, ding. See, nobody listens. You're a lawyer and you don't even listen. How do you recuse yourself from something that you were never involved in? I'll wait. You can't recuse yourself if you never was her representation. So that's why I told people, always listen to the information. How are you going to recuse yourself if you never was her attorney? It makes no logical sense. So now, who's lying? Xana, the news, or Miss Taylor? Take your pick. Any, mini, miny. Who's Mo? Who's lying? Kara, Miss Taylor, or the news. Nobody's going to make up a story about giving the fucking lawyer power of attorney. She possibly assumed that because she is an attorney. Ding, 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 ding. You recuse yourself on the 5th of this month, yet you are questioning the validity of the information. And yet she is no longer Kohlberger's attorney. Ding, 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 ding. So how's it made up? Why are you now not Kohlberger's attorney? You're not Carol's attorney. You're not Kohlberger's attorney. You are nobody's attorney. So how could the story be made up about Kara and the power of attorney documents? And this woman, Ms. Taylor, representing her, not representing her. As I said, you can't recuse yourself from something that you never were involved in.
You were saying that the Moscow Police Department was the most incompetent police department in the country, and then a month later, tailed as geniuses. Let's let the process work.
I guess
I'm complaining about any conflict.
I was taking Mom at her word. I'm so sorry we didn't get more time with you. Thanks for joining us more on Ashley Banfield. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
Well, that wasn't real nice. You all just cut him right on off. I guess he didn't like that interview. How about that? Just cut him right on off. Let's wait for the information. Well, I'll wait for the information as I see fit. How about that? I was looking in this queue to see if there's any more information pertaining to Kara talking to News Nation. This is some interesting. This is very, very crazy. It's not really anything to wait on, quite frankly, because everything's on somebody else's version. So that's the information coming out of News Nation, uploaded 2 minutes ago. Miss Taylor, who was representing Brian Kohlberger, dropped Karen Northington, Xana Kernodle's mother, to represent him, Kohlberger. And now she has been removed as Kohlberger's attorney, and a Mr. Schwartz is currently representing Brian C. Kohlberger in this murder trial of the Idaho 4. So if you need to recap, News Nation is the source of the interviews with the mother. She feels betrayed by Miss Taylor. No one has contacted Miss Taylor from the public defender's office. She has not kept in contact with the 2 surviving girls. She has not talked to any of the family members of the victims. She's obviously not talking to the police, district attorney. Why? I do not know. As I said, it's obvious this woman needs help, and she needs to start reaching out to these people to stay in the loop pertaining to this case. Now, what type of relationship she had with her daughter, I do not know. But she doesn't seem to know much of anything, which is baffling to me. And it may be because she is an addict and an alcoholic. She's just self-serving, and that's to be expected. Because she has her own problems, and when you are an addict, the addiction is more important. And it's not to say, anything negative about her, but that is information that is out now. So she has other issues to contend with, and also trying to grieve her daughter. This case, never in a million years that I thought I could be so amazed at information. This is sad. Let's hear about her commentary about the death penalty. News Nation is the source. Thank you all for joining me. You're now listening to The Vault XL. If you want to donate to this great network, $BeganTy129 Cash App. All super chat stickers are welcome during the live stream. Thank you for joining me. We're now into hour 2.
A very important question for Kara Northington, Xana Kernodle's mother. When it comes to capital punishment, when it comes to the death penalty, Kaylee Gonzalez's parents were crystal clear. They wanted nothing short of a death penalty for Brian Koberger if he is convicted. So what about Kara Northington? She lost her daughter too. I want to play this part of the exclusive interview so that you can hear for yourself what she has to say. What do you want to see happen to Brian Koberger?
I want to see him pay for what he's done. I'm not interested in a death penalty. That's not who I am. I don't believe in that. But I do think that he should spend the rest of his days in prison.
Do you plan to attend the hearings and his trial if there is one?
I haven't decided yet. If I will be able to do that.
So, Kara, what was your first reaction?
Okay, I have to stop there now.
No problem.
What do you mean you have to decide? Now, Kara, I have not lost a child, but this is bothersome to me because from the beginning of this information pertaining to the dead children, you have spoken with Banfield on News Nation, and you seemed oblivious to anything going on in this case pertaining to your child. You had no interaction with Bethany and Dylan, no interaction with the other family members, no interaction with the police, maybe once. It is now 2.5 months later, and you're being asked about the death penalty. You say you don't believe in that, but you do want justice. You want him to spend the rest of his life in prison. And Banfield now asks you about attending trial. And you say you haven't decided. I just feel like Kara is not in tune to what is going on. And I don't know if she's trying to just really block out everything that's going on pertaining to this case. But you're not going to be able to grieve properly until you deal with this child's death. So I feel like knowledge is key. Naturally, there'll be very gruesome details in the courtroom that naturally no parent wants to hear about their child. The jury will probably be just as baffled as the parents and anybody in the courtroom. But knowledge is key. Because maybe if you go to the courtroom, you hear the things of him stalking the children, what they saw at the crime scene, you might change your mind about the death penalty. Just saying. Yes. Yes. But, BB, you have to also inquire. And I just got a feeling in the beginning, she was not really inquiring things from the police. Now, naturally, we know they were keeping things from the families because they were working the investigation. I get that. So maybe the family, first off, these people weren't doing their job, as you heard this guy saying here about criticism of Moscow. But you also have to remember the FBI was involved in the case. This case was too big for them. They had a 30-something man department. They could not handle this case on their own, Moscow Police Department. We all know this. We all know this. They needed help with data, following the suspect, getting information on him, getting to all those kids' phones and devices. That takes time and work and effort and expertise. And this department did not have that type of manpower. I don't know about her being on the run. I don't know about any of that. But this is small town America where she's at, I'm assuming. So how far would she get? Now, I do notice in the background in her car, there looks like a lot of stuff in the back seat, like a guitar or something. I don't know what's going on with Miss Kara. I actually do feel bad for her because I feel like she's in a very bad place mentally pertaining to these deaths of these kids and her child. And also the fact that she's also, dealing with, addiction or whatever, and whatever other legal trouble she's having. So she's in a very bad way. But I also know this is her doing as well. Not the murders, but the drug situation, that's her own choice. But I do feel like perhaps she's not inquiring about the case for whatever reason. And I feel like I'd want to know what's going on. Gruesome as the details are, I would just want to know everything you've got, everything that you're doing.
Your former attorney is representing the man accused of killing your daughter.
I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken because I trusted her. She pretended that she was wanting to help me, and to find that out that she's representing him, I can't even convey how betrayed I feel.
Have you had a chance to speak with her about this?
No, I haven't spoken with her. I found out through a friend who found it on Reddit. So,
you found out through a friend through social media. You weren't notified by Ann Taylor, your attorney, herself?
Right now.
And have you tried to reach out to her?
No, I just found out today, literally. So, yeah.
So, just so many thoughts. It's so incredible that there is this connection. Are you going to try to fight this at all?
Well, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Because as I understand it, this would require a waiver, something that you sign and that he would sign in order for her to go ahead and be able to do this legitimately. I can imagine the way your reaction is that you are not interested in signing a waiver to allow her to continue on.
Right, exactly. And I'd already given her power of attorney. I'd already signed over power of attorney so that she could help me with getting into rehab and whatnot. And so, I don't understand how she could do this. I don't understand what happens now. Does she still have power of attorney, or what goes on now?
If you were able to say something to Brian Kohberger, what message would you want to send? I just want to know why. I just want to know why. Why did he do this? Why did he take these kids? Why? What did they do to him? Because I can't imagine them doing anything that deserved for him to murder them.
Wow.
Again, that's Kara Northington, Xana Kernodle's mother, speaking with us exclusively, and you heard what she said. Thank you for watching. Go to...
What did they do to him? Exactly. Why would you kill these kids? What did they do to you so terrible that you felt the need to lie in wait, stalk these children, and murder them, and left behind two to be an eyewitness and testify in court that you were the guy walking past the doorway at 1122 King Road, November 13th? Make it make sense. All commentary is by News Nation if you need verification. This is This is bad. Just trying to make sure I got all the latest updates pertaining to Kara's interview with News Nation. Feel free to go into the queue and rewatch the information for yourself. As I have said before, Ms. Taylor is no longer representing Brian Kohlberger. He has a Mr. Schwartz currently representing him. I do not know if this shift and change will cause any delays in them going forward to a hearing in June, at the end of June. That's a little ways from now. So I would assume this lawyer, if indeed it stays on the case, can play catch up because she's only been his attorney since, getting the case possibly right after December 30th. So this attorney will have at least 3 weeks or so to play catch up on the information pertaining to the case, evidentiary material. June is a long ways off. That's almost July. I would assume if he knows what he's doing, he won't have a problem getting down to the nitty gritty of the information. But all this new information coming out pertaining to Kara, her drug problem, drug arrests, Taylor having her cases, dropping her on January 5th, proceeding to be Kohlberger's attorney, and then now recusing herself, and now another person taking over. 29 people on the roster to handle being public defenders in Idaho, 14 classified as lawyers to handle the death penalty case, but she was the only one allegedly in the jurisdiction to handle the case for Moscow, Idaho. But yet we have a Mr. Schwartz. So now you have to ask, well, where is Mr. Schwartz coming from? See, all of this is what makes people gossip and go on and on about things, because you say one thing and then next thing you know, you do something else. So people are going to now ask, well, where is Mr. Schwartz coming from? What jurisdiction is he coming from? Well, if that's the case, then you could have given any of the other 14, 13 or 12 the case. See, this is what makes people talk. And yes, people are going to question every little thing, because this is what people actually do. They talk, they gossip. So I'm not saying it's right, but the lying is where I have the problem. Making up stuff, wild stories, I'm not with none of that. I deal with what's been said, what's been seen. And naturally, I was not there, November 13th. I don't know what all was going on at this house, who all was actually there coming and going, what these kids saw and heard, the two people who are alive, Dylan and Bethany. I don't know, but my spirit just tells me something's off. And now this new information with Kara and Miss Taylor and their cases and dropping and putting on and putting off, this is so unprofessional to me. As this guy said briefly, it was bad enough people talked really bad about Moscow, Idaho, the police department. Knowing FBI was involved, they should have already known the FBI and state police had a handle on this. But the flip side of that is knowing that Kohlberger was tagged November 25th and the 29th, his car made, and yet, why didn't you try to get DNA on him right after the 29th? When you spotted the car, ran the tags. Because from the 29th of November is a stretch to December 30th in the state of Pennsylvania. That's too damn long. So there I do have a problem with that information. Hearing this lady represented Kara, bad information. Dropping her. She got charged 6 days after her child's death. So somebody took her case. Somebody represented her when it was time to go to court. You can't get charged without being either present or alive. Take your pick. Standing in court, hospital bed, you see where I'm going. So this guy speaking can't say, oh, we don't have proof to know that Miss Taylor was her her attorney or not. Well, how are you going to recuse yourself for the 18th time if you never was appointed as the lawyer? This power of attorney business. I don't understand what that's all about. If she's just using the wrong terminology, Miss Kara, or she was saying, I'm giving this woman what is legal documentation, power of attorney, to admit me into a rehab facility, to facilitate my going into this place because she's an attorney. I don't know. Where did she even get that idea from? See, that's another thing. Nobody's asking pertinent questions. And as far as her being on the run, I don't know anything about that. Because you already know, I don't spread stuff I don't know nothing about. But what's bad to me is that this mother, her name was given bad mojo in the beginning. People gossiping, making up stuff because they knew of her drug charges, trying to link it to the house. Then when Kohlberger's arrested, you find out he used heroin. Then you all tried to tie her into that. Real low rent stuff. Real low rent. Because it's obvious she didn't deal with her daughter. So you can't tie her into Kohlberger and this house and drug affiliation with the house because one, the police told you there's no evidence of anybody using drugs or selling drugs. If they found drugs, then that means they would have had to lie to say they found drugs in the house. See where I'm going? I don't think Xana dealt with her mother. So there's no way you could tie drugs into this house. Because if she didn't visit her daughter, it would have nothing to do with her mother. So I thought that was a low blow. But what's sickening to me is how sick those rumors started just because some of you found out she was an addict or had charges. And now here it comes back full circle 2.5 months later. The cat is out the bag about her charges. And that this crazy ass bat was once her lawyer and dropped her the 5th of this month for Kohlberger. And her wanting to give this crazy woman power of attorney to put her in a drug rehab. It's like everything I was hoping I would not hear anything about now has come full circle. And it's bad. Really, really bad. And to think some of you would link this woman to the crime of killing her own daughter to now knowing Kohlberger's attorney had this drug-addicted mom first. This is why you don't gossip and make up stuff about people. Because now look how bad it is. This woman was representing her at the time that some of you were gossiping about her, having something to do with the murders. And now a killer has been brought forward, allegedly, as the suspect. And he's getting representation by this woman's attorney who you all have linked to the murders through gossip. See, the universe is always listening. The universe is always listening. And that's what's so sad about this story. Is that 4 children were bludgeoned to death. 2 left behind. No way in my right mind, I'm going to think Kohlberger didn't know anything about those other girls. Because if he watched the house, been there 12 times, went back that same morning at 9 a.m., he knew about the other 2. And possibly suspected where they stayed in that house. But he left them alive for a reason. What was it? Did Bethany hear anything, see anything that morning, November 13th? Did she and that girl Dylan talk through the night while all this shit was going on with doors opening and closing? Did she hear Xana, Ethan cry out? Did they know that the kids were dead and never called 911? Went in their rooms, shut the doors, played possum, came up with a version. Why would you do that? What is the truth about that morning and these 2 girls? And will they be able to find 12 members of a jury of a sound mind to render a guilty verdict in this case? Will Kohlberger decide this ain't looking good for me? Switching of attorneys. I need to fold and tell them the truth. I need to tell, I did kill these kids. this is why I killed those kids. And save the taxpayers' hard-earned money. Let the families be able to grieve and finally move on from this debacle. And pray that this never happens again to anybody else's child, friend, sister, brother. Because sadly, these type of crimes happen every day. And that's what people need to understand about true crime, is that it happens every day. Idaho, New York, California, anywhere. Maybe not 4 altogether. Maybe not even 4 white children. But people are murdered every day in their homes, at their jobs, in the street, kidnapped, misled, lied to, catfished, all of the above. I send this message every time I go live, is that you have to be very careful of your surroundings. You have to know the people you're hanging with, the company you keep, the things you talk about, the things you tell people personal. Putting stuff on social media, please take heed, because you don't know who's watching while you're live streaming, laughing, giggling, having fun, posting pictures where you are. You don't know who's watching. You do not know who's sharing your photographs, your pictures, your posts. We all take for granted sharing things to social media, pictures, this and that, putting the location. You're going to have to stop doing that. You're going to have to stop doing that. Because as you can see, you don't know people, and you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's looking through Facebook, TikTok, IG, looking at the suggestions, messaging. You know, you have sick people who just message you for no reason. They don't know you from a can of apples. Just message you. Oh, you look pretty. You look nice. I just want to say hello. You don't even know if that's the person that is in the photograph, especially if they don't want a video chat. So be very leery of anybody jumping in your DM. Stop telling people your business, please. Stop telling people your personal business. Do not tell people where you live, where you work, how many kids you got. You just came into some money. You just did this and this. Don't do that. Because you'd be surprised that in your mind you're thinking, I'm a good person. I don't bother people. I don't hurt people. I don't cause people problems. But there's somebody out there that doesn't like you. And some of you don't really understand that. There's somebody out there that does not like you. They don't want you to win. They don't want you to succeed. And sadly, they do not want you to breathe. And that is Brian C. Koiberger. He's one in God knows how many that's bitter, lonely, vengeful, psychopath, angry. And he snuffed out 4 kids for no fucking reason. And you cannot assume that you could not be one of these kids, because as I've told you time and time again, if it was not Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, it was going to be somebody. It didn't matter that he didn't know them. It didn't matter that they were not friends. He was going to kill somebody. And it just so happened to be those 4 kids. So somebody was going to lose a child to Brian C. Koiberger. The sick part, now knowing Xana's sister attends the university where Brian Koiberger was also a PhD student, is baffling. Did he cross paths with Xana's sister? Did he ever stalk her Look for her. Connect the two. This is disturbing news. And I'm really starting to wonder what the hell is really going on with this case, because possibly there is way more to this than just stalking these kids, because now you've got to logically explain, how is it that the three who died were friends, lived together, allegedly went by their job, owner says no, never came to the restaurant. One of the decedent's sister currently goes to Washington State University, where Kohlberger was before his arrest, enrolled at Washington State. Make that make sense. Small demographic, yes. 15 minutes apart, yes. Maybe not so odd to us or to them, but strange now because of the dead kids. Kohlberger being a student at Washington State, now hearing that Xana's sister goes to Washington State, hearing that Xana's mom's been in legal troubles. Miss Taylor was once her attorney, but then dropped her January 5th to take on Kohlberger's case. And now she's recused herself. And why did she do it? Did somebody say something to her? Or she did it on her own? Connect the dots. Because Idaho, assumingly, is small. I don't know. I haven't done the stats of the size of the state. But you have to assess what has come out a day ago and ask yourself, what in the fuck is going on from Pullman to Moscow to Pennsylvania? Because what will be disturbing, and listen at me carefully, we find out Brian C. Kohlberger stalked all of the girls, or at least the targets, victims that were killed from the state of Pennsylvania. It will also be disturbing if he stalked them for longer than 6 months, 1 year. He chose to enroll in Washington State's graduate program to stalk and kill the girls deliberately, and also knew of this young lady being enrolled who happens to be Xana's sister. Make it make sense? Or is it happenstance? Kids went to Idaho to school. Xana's sister went to Washington State, all close proximity to where they lived and grew up. And Kohlberger just so happens to fall into their nest egg and exact harm. Or was this a diabolical plan from across the country? You be the judge. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you for your time. You all have a wonderful weekend. The Queen will be 52 on Sunday. God is good. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Please be careful of your surroundings. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. You have been listening to The Vault XL. Thank you.